Oh shit. What can you do? I finally listened to Channel Orange. It's been 4 goddamn years in the making, but I finally fucking I didn't make Channel Orange, but I finally listened to Channel Orange, and it's just as good as everybody told me it was, so I can finally listen to Blonde without any guilt. Badlands, we're here for Badlands. Before Terrence Malick, wanted to show us the universe and the universe by emphasizing how meaningless human beings are and showing dinosaurs and Brad Pitt being an asshole father. He was a pretty normal director. He still tried to show how meaningless human beings are. He still shot nature in a very vast way, but still, compared to what he is now, what he has become now, which is just like this totally 100% technical filmmaker, and like he doesn't really give a shit about emotion at this point. But compared to what he is now, he was a pretty normal director back then, and Badlands is definitely a very good example of that. Now, from what I've seen of this movie, from the poster, from the plot synopsis, I thought it was going to be a very romantic movie, maybe slightly off-kilter, maybe some bloodshed, but you know what, a romantic film nonetheless. Maybe slightly authentic, maybe some dark moments, but romantic nonetheless. Now that I've seen this movie, it's completely different from what I thought it was going to be. It's so different. Now, let's talk about the generic Terrence Malick stuff. This guy just knows how to capture nature, and this really shows in how he captures the emptiness of the South and nature in general. The vast plains, the empty streets. It makes the characters seem very tiny and insignificant. There's this great shot where Martin Sheen is like, he's kind of holding his gun like this. His gun is over here, and he's holding it like that, like Scarecrow or some shit. And in the background, you just see nothing. It's just this wide plain. There's the big mountain in the background. It's such a great shot, and it's such a great shot because it really emphasizes how small Michael Sheen feels when it comes to these vast plains. It almost makes them so tiny and insignificant. It almost makes them seem very inhuman. They're not really human. He doesn't really feel human. It just feels like he's like a pawn for the scenery. It makes him feel less of a character and simply more as this storytelling element. And this emptiness starts to show in the characters as the story goes on. Now, at first, it starts off very generically. The main guy, the Martin Sheen character, Kip, he seems just kind of quirky, kind of quiet, and he doesn't really talk much. And then there's Holly, played by Sissy Spacek. She doesn't really talk much, and the romance is kind of slowly building up. But then, Kip starts to become trigger happy as all hell, and you start to realize he's a sociopath. Like, he's just a total sociopath. He doesn't care about human emotion. He doesn't really empathize with death or whatever the hell he's causing. He just goes along. And because of that lack of empathy, he just becomes this very distant character. And I think that's the point. Because he becomes so distant, you start to realize certain things. The love in itself, the relationship that Holly and Kip has, feels distant and very empty at times. There's this scene where it's after they had sex for the first time, and Holly just says, "Is that all? Is that it? Is that all there is to it?" And Kip just says, "Yes, that's it." And Holly's just like, "Well, what the fuck were they talking about then?" And Kip's just like, "I don't fucking know." And sex, kissing, the conversations they have, it really all just feels very distant and empty, which reflects what Kip feels like and what the settings feel like. And it's really effective in the way how everything really is, every single technical element is trying to showcase what Kip is like as a character and as a person. Now, there was one thing that I was kind of confused with at least in the first half of the movie, and that was Holly's character. Now, Holly lacks empathy. There's a scene where Kip kills Holly's father, and this is not really a spoiler because it kind of happens in the first third of the movie. Um, Kip kills Holly's father, and most women would go batshit crazy, even if it's their lover, but she just acts slightly annoyed. Like, throughout the film, she doesn't really emote that much. She's just kind of blah about everything. She just dances, she follows Kip, she narrates the whole thing, she just talks about death and what's going on in a very blasé way. And I thought this was a flaw, because Holly feels, distant, and because of that, who's really the audience surrogate for this film? And then I realized something. Holly is just as crazy and sociopathic as Kip. And when you keep that in mind, because she probably lacks more empathy than Kip. There's this great scene where Kip is about to bring the couple into hostage. He's gonna lock them up in this cellar, and Holly just brings this woman along to the cellar, and they're just walking, and obviously the woman's frightened, but Holly's just like, what is your boyfriend a nice guy? Do you love him? And she just brings this normal conversation into this terrifying situation. And you realize just how crazy Holly also is. And when you bring that in mind, you start to realize how tragic the story is. It starts off with Holly narrating about her mother's death. And throughout the film, the narration keeps going. And the narration really is needed because it's really the only way you can understand Holly, because she's so blasé about everything. You realize that she doesn't know how to cope with death because she doesn't feel anything about it. And most people say that you should feel about certain things, and Holly doesn't. And then she meets Kip, and she realizes he is kind of like her. They feel nothing, but they're perfect for each other. They don't really love each other. They're just two people who are exactly the same when it comes to empathy and emotion. They don't feel anything. They have no soul. They're just living. They're alive, and they're just gonna take on what's gonna happen in the end. And they only love each other because they can relate to each other. And it becomes such a tragic story because as the film goes on, and as they keep committing these murders and these crimes, they just become a burden to each other. Especially Kip. He's just starting to weigh down Holly. Because Holly at times has like these glimpses of human emotion. Not just anger and sadness, no. She has ambition. She wants to get out into the world. But now she's kind of stuck with Kip. But she wants to be stuck with Kip because he's the only guy that she can relate to. So not only are they a burden to each other, they become this inevitable couple because nobody will understand them more than each other. Kip will never be understood more than Holly would understand her, and vice versa. And because of that, this whole love story becomes this really fucked up, tragic romance. And the ending doesn't even feel like a love story. Spoilers, just small spoilers. I'm gonna talk about the ending in like 10 seconds, starting now. Kip gets into the electric chair and dies, and Holly lives. That's the ending. That's the fucking ending. That's about it. I'm just gonna wait for the 10 seconds to go past me. Okay. So that's the ending, and it's very unromantic. It's very realistic considering what happened beforehand. And the way the main characters talk, the way that Kip and Holly talk about this situation, the ending, they're emotionless. They don't care. It happened, and they're just gonna keep on living. They don't know why they did it. They don't know why they killed certain people and didn't kill certain other people. They just felt like it. They were lucky. We're just living. We're just alive, and we don't feel anything. We're just going on. And we still like each other because exactly that I am the only person who understands you. It's such if you really think about it, it's a really original love story. It's not, the relationship is not one-sided. They're both crazy. And the film doesn't exploit that fact. They're not just running around butt naked, making silly noises. No, they're very quiet. Because they don't really emote. They're just walking around. They're just talking. They kiss in a very passionless way. They dance in a very passionless way, even though fucking Nat King Cole is playing on the radio. And it all and add the emptiness of the vast plains to that love story. The setting is so empty and pointless. Add that to the love story, and the film just becomes this great movie about passionless sociopathic love. And it's so original. It really is. At a certain point in the film, because they're killing people and they're stealing stuff, I thought this was just gonna be like a Bonnie and Clyde ripoff, but it's so much more than that. And it's really good. The only flaw of the film is that because everything feels so distant, you also feel distant. And although I feel like that's the point of the movie, I have to admit, at certain points, I was just kind of staring at the scene. I was mesmerized, but I felt distant as an audience. So maybe just because of that, I would probably say it's the 3.5 out of 4. But I can easily see myself in the future ignoring that and liking this movie much more than I am right now. So yeah, 3.5 out of 4, possibly a better film later on. Badlands. Terrence Malick is not just pretentious, guys. Let's face certain facts, man. I want to fucking sleep now. So yeah, Badlands, 3.5 out of 4. My mouth is not working. Bye.